Hello and welcome to Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV, and it's part one of a new series of Bring Back Max Power, where we're going to look at the September 1999 edition of Max Power magazine. So why are we bringing back Max Power? Well, it's quite simple. In just over a month's time, we'll be attending the Max Power reunion show, where you can see DJ Richie Don, Charisma, Jamie Shaw from Charisma, some Peugeot Ecosse show cars. You can also see some Max Power cars of the day, and you'll see much more on the day. So this is the September 1999 edition of Max Power magazine. This was the second ever edition of Max Power I ever bought. So what have we got on the cover? We've got a mutant spawn of a touring car at large in the community, a Renault Laguna. We've got Starsky Skyline, Ultra Smooth Cavalier, a mental egg thing, a 300 brake horsepower Escort RS, Fiesta RS Turbo, Ibiza in an Ibiza, a Stealth Nova, a 205, an Iced XR3, and a few Golfs. You've also got our first look at Jackie Degg, Joe Guest, 6x9 speaker test, a Max Live special, and a mega wheel guide. So without much further ado, let's get into having a look at this edition of the magazine. So we're quickly on to the contents page, or ignition. So cars, we've got Laguna, Fiesta, 205, Punto, Golf Thrash, R32 Skyline, Escort XR3i Ice Car, Eggman Honda Life, Vauxhall Cavalier, a Nova, Drive-By Shooting, Planet Max, Max Babes, Joe Guest and a new Miss Max Jackie, Max Power Live Review, Mega Competition, Cruise Patrol, Write-Off, an Ibiza in an Ibiza, Beat the Rich, and Max Motors. And there's some of the cars I've got there. There's Joe Guest. And we've got the buying guide. So you've got Fresh Stuff, the Tits, Ultimate Wheel Guide, 6x9, Mega Guide, Subs Offer, Performance Info, New Ice Info, Speed Shop. So we go into the first feature car, which is a Renault Laguna. This looks like a touring car racer. Goes like shit through a goose, built to terminate its competition on the Queen's Highway. It's a turbo V8 Laguna is going to get you. Now, if you were a fan of the BTCC back in the mid-90s, then you will know that the Laguna was one of the serious competitors in the British Touring Car Championships. And what other orange cars could you get? You could get the Skeet Golf in October 1995's edition of Max Power, Project Mad Max in May 1996, that was a Corrado, Esbaro Megane in June 1998's edition of Max Power, and you also have the Outspan car, or the Outspan Orange from May 1996. If you want to know a wee bit more about the Outspan Orange car, there's one in the Grampian Transport Museum up near Aberdeen. This mother is a twin-turboed V8, which used to call a TVR home. It looks as though it could survive a sustained nuclear assault. So why don't we have a look at the tech spec on this Laguna? So it's powered by a 3950cc 16-valve twin-turbocharged TVR V8, mounted on a Ford Granada crossmember, custom manifold twin SU carburetors fitted with K&N cone filters, pipe across oil breather, one-off body tone exhaust, thermostatically controlled twin Ken Low fans, oil cooler, braided steel oil lines. Gearbox is a 5-speed manual Rover gearbox with a race clutch, Cosworth rear axle for rear-wheel drive. Suspension-wise, it's got Coney adjustable shocks and coilovers and a one-off strut brace. Braking's taken care of at the front by Porsche 911 turbo discs and calipers, and at the rear Sierra Cosworth discs and calipers. It's got braided steel hoses. Wheels and tyres, 8x18-inch Oz Super Turismo wheels with Pirelli PZ0225 4018 tyres. Rear Cosworth hubs converted to 5-stud fixing. Bodywork, it's got a front valance made from part Laguna, part Subaru Legacy, one-off aluminium spoiler, 99 model Laguna headlights, single wiper conversion sprayed in Ford Vista Orange. Interior-wise, it's got a one-off Andy Robinson roll cage, Cobea Revolution driver's seat, Cobea Forza passenger seat, OMP full harnesses, sparkle steering wheel on strange engineering boss. It's been moved back 7 inches. Tilting racing pedals, one-off alloy gear lever and knob. Stack electronic instrument unit set and one-off dash. A Croche Blanche boost gauge. Shift light, one-off boot-mounted alloy race petrol tank. Footwell mounted fire extinguishers. Security for this car. Nah, he leaves it parked in the street with the doors open and the keys in ignition. What do you think? Performance-wise, this car has got 400 brake horsepower. Max speed is 160 mph plus, and 0 to 60 is sub 5 seconds. So this is what you get in your no-frills design race car. You get an oil-damped turbo boost pressure gauge, shift light for those impromptu racy moments. Steering wheel must be removed before you can get out. Day release wristband from local home for the clinically insane. A drag racing Simpson Bandit helmet hides No Edmonds style tidy beard. Cobea Revolution seat moved 7 inches to shift weight back. It's got a raised transmission tunnel to accommodate drive shaft to rear wheels, and switches to change the stack instrument readings. Well, we continue with our touring car theme. This is Matt Neal's Nissan Primera from 1999, when he was sponsored by 100 Plus Team Dynamics. Police camera cretins. Experts slam rubbish cop drivers as crash figures go through the roof. So this is incidents where police drivers have caused accidents. So let's have a look at some examples. So Channel 4 newsreader Sheena MacDonald was knocked down and left with serious head injuries by a cop car rushing to a fight. Pedestrian John Todd was killed by a policeman Dale on a 999 call that swerved to avoid a slower car. The police driver was doing 60 mph in a 30 and did not hear the order over the police radio telling him he was not needed. Trainee nurse Judith Hood was killed when her Citroen EX was smacked from behind by an unmarked Range Rover, driven by a police instructor. He was playing the part of an escaping criminal in a pursuit exercise at the time. And lastly, Neil Homer, 21, was killed when a police car involved in a chase ran 2 sets of red lights at and hit his car at 93 mph. The passenger in the police car also died. The driver was convicted of causing 2 deaths by dangerous driving and spent 6 weeks in prison before returning to work. So here's some facts and figures from 1999. In 1998, 2,123 people were injured and 15 died as a result of accidents involving police cars. In the last year, there's been a 50% increase in the number of deaths due to police car accidents. 22 people died in police car accidents in the 12-month period up to the end of March 1999. In the first 8 weeks of 1999, 4 members of the public died in police car accidents. And in 1998, London's Met Police alone suffered 5,710 crashes last year in 1998. This is Planet Max, so you can win motor show tickets. Max Power Live was the motoring show of the year, no question. Turn to page 30 to see Jordan, Joe Guest, Eddie Irvine and this maniac in action. And then we've got some air and drawers. So we've got Katie, Nikki, Vicky, Pam, and a little nips alert here. And as we always say with this was the culture back in the day that girls would be featured in the likes of Max Power magazine. So next up we have an advert for Ben Sherman. Before moving on to the new Calibra is Italian. So this is the new, at the time, Astra Coupe. I think this was the Astra, going to say, it's the Mark IV Astra. Don't get me started on the JK and all that. This would have probably been an Astra G? Astra G maybe? We've also got the Renault Sport Clio, Golf V6 4Motion and Vectra GSI. Nuts and bolts, bringing a larger axe to the twig of news. Drunk Brendan Coogan has quit his dream job at Top Gear after being done for drink driving the morning after a session. Mark Cartwright was astonished to get a speeding ticket for doing 65 and a 60. He was driving a road sweeper at a top speed of 25. Imports, if you're set on importing your own Jap supercar try typing renegadeguides.co.uk. After being freed from prison for good behaviour, car thief Darren Macon decided to see if he'd lost any of his scumbag talents. In 90 days he committed 75 offences and stole over £250,000 worth of cars. He then went back down for 2 years. A couple have named their baby Vectra, after it was born in their family Vauxhall. Vectra will certainly almost hate her parents forever for lumbering her with this piss-poor name, but it could have been worse. What if her dad had a 325 or a Belmont, or a Frontera, or an Octavia? Cops are resorting to these weird tests you see in old films in order to catch drug drivers. If they suspect you've been taking anything interesting, they'll ask you to walk in a straight line and touch your finger to your nose. They'll also be suspicious if you can't stop yourself dancing to the sound of the copper's displeased tutting. And we carry on here. We've got MB Quartz, our King 6x9s. Turn to page 169 for our shock test results in full. Show us your shunt. So this month we've got an Escort XR3i, a Citroen Saxo here, a Fiesta and Gala Shields. I was heading to work at 3 AM with the music pumping when I fell asleep. Next thing I knew, I was in a field with the music still on. I crawled out the sunroof and walked half a mile for help. Dimmer 309 in Coventry. This was meant to appear on a demo stage at Max Power. And Norman with his Nova in Kingham 5, I think that's actually Kinghorn. The car in front of him braked and I bumped his bumper. Then a car came flying into the back of me and sent me spinning into a wall. Now I have a scar on my head to remember. And I think we'll finish on Show Us Your Shunt for part 1 of Bring Back Max Power. Don't forget to like and subscribe at Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV, and we'll catch you in a future video. Farewell.